Alrighty, let's see. We should be live, I believe. Alright, let's see. Huh, interesting. Alrighty. Yeah, if anybody is there, if anybody has joined, let me know if you can hear me well. You should be able to, but yeah, it should be fine now, I guess. I hope so. Loud and clear. Andrew, good evening. Thank you, buddy. Awesome. Superb, superb, superb. Yeah, well, another stream. Random as always. I just decided a minute ago that I'm gonna do one. So yeah, let's give it a shot and see if we're having fun or not. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just. Music, I suppose, is not too loud. It isn't. Great. And yeah, all right, cool. Let me just maybe do one thing. Where is it starting? That's hidden already. Yeah, maybe. Oops. Yeah, let's maybe do that. Cool. All right, super. Well, good evening for those of you who joined already. We're just starting now. Let me just start a couple of things here. I think our Docker is running. Yeah, let's open our text editor here. Alrighty, let's see, which is this, a workspace? No, that's a bit weird. Let's open a workspace. Where is it? Programming network workspace. Let's try that. Sure. Let's close the composer. Let's see, what do we have here? I'll actually just remove something from this workspace, so we don't really need these two things. How can we remove from workspace, right? Okay, yeah, we can remove this one as well from the workspace. We don't need it either. Yeah, potentially we don't need the infrastructure, so we can just keep the API and front end there, I suppose. Chica, my friend, good evening. So we'll also remove that from the workspace as well. Give me just 1 second. Let me just make sure of some things. What did I do last time when I streamed? Yeah, okay, so that was fixed, I see. All right, cool. Okay, well, we're gonna start today with a couple of things, and where we're gonna end, I absolutely have no idea, depending how much I want to stream. So I think last time I did some crap here, which was pretty terrible, I would say. And I would like to kind of change that slightly a bit, and then I don't know, we'll see where we end up. Let me just kind of see. Chica, what's up, my friend? How's life? All right, let me take a look at a couple of things. Okay, let me start with a couple of very simple things here, and then I don't know what we're gonna end up doing eventually. Yeah, let's see. I just wanna fix some core library issues, and then we'll see from there. So I'm gonna go here actually. And what I want to do is, it's a bit weird. So there's a couple of weird things here. First, this hover. that hovers the whole thing. And then drag and drop is also really weird. Okay, let me just examine that very quickly. And is this always the case? No, so this is only the case when drag and drop is enabled, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So let me take a look. Let's take a look at that. Has drag and drop, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's a bit weird, wait. So nice, man. Yeah, we were considering as well, but we're not going to go. That's cool, dude. Vikrant, hey buddy, good. I'm very good. How are you, man? Just decided on a random stream. I just need to fix some things, and I'm like, okay, let me not do it alone. Let me just talk to some people. Okay, so all right. So what is this? What are we looking at here? Let's take a look at this. So I have the sections, and then I map each section. So I suppose it's one of these two classes that mess this crap up, right? Most likely. Or maybe not. I just need to figure out which one of those is the one that I need to get rid of. Jesus Christ, come on. Wait. So it's not this one. So which color is this? Let's actually see. So we can, I guess, identify it by... Yeah, so it's this one, right? So let's see where we have that crap. So it is this one here. So you see, it's almost like there's some state somewhere. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I have an interview. I'm backend developer. They're asking for React. I know basic React. Any advice? I mean, I mean, hopefully, when you applied, there were certain, you know, you saw what the requirements are for the job, right? I think today there's very rarely ever an excuse to not know at least some of the basics, right? Of any end that you're working with, especially now having the AI and stuff like that, right? I think it's actually this one. Yeah, it's probably this one. It's just weird. Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm just gonna nuke that. Just gonna clean that up. Yeah, this also shouldn't be there, I guess. Is it this one? So there's some hover color. Just wanna clean this stuff up. So annoying. What is this element? It's H3, no? It's div draggable. Yeah, so it's this one, I see, okay. right? Jesus Christ, man, how did I do this? It's so annoying, man. Where is this class, dude? What the fuck is happening? So it's not a hover, right? So it's not a regular. So it doesn't seem to be a regular hover. Yeah, so it's... Yeah, alright. Oh, I see what's happening. So it's a freaking build that's failing. Come on, man. Yeah, it's a bit... Yeah, I see. I see. Alright. Okay, now it's fine, I suppose. Yeah. Alright. So let me actually revert a bunch of the shit that I just did. So it's most likely this one, right? That we need to nuke. And then there's this active state instantly. So that's what we need to neutralize very quickly. Yeah, there we go. Jesus Christ, man. Okay. Alright, so let's get rid of that completely. So just nuke that. Let's actually nuke this as well, right? And then we'll need to... yeah, that's gonna be interesting actually to see, do we actually need that? But I don't think so. Okay, that's good. That's great. Okay, so let's actually let's rerun the tests here. I don't remember if I probably did test that, right? Alright, so that's good. Let me just take a look at my list of the things that I... So let's say that that's kind of done. Okay, and then there was another thing. Let's actually go to localhost here. Let's get over here. So I think there's one, so we're gonna need to extend this with some sort of state. So you can see this is active as soon as I click on it, which is correct, but there has to be a, we need to extend it with a prop. So there is a programmatic way where we say, hey, nothing is actually active anymore. So right now when I click this cancel, this no longer should be shown as active, and it is, right? So I suppose we need to, let's see how I've done this here. Selected ID, set selected item ID. Yeah, so we could take this guy out and then, wow, that's actually really weird. Why the hell do I need this? That makes no sense. Let's take a look at that. That's good, right? Yeah. Yeah. All good, very good, okay. So now technically we could selected section ID, selected. Okay, so we do have these two, right? Sure. So we would need to kinda pass these from the outside, right? So, okay. Yeah. All right, let's do that then. So instead of doing this, that also makes no sense. Let's actually do something like this. So we're gonna say something like selected, and then we're gonna say section. Is section a correct way to call it? Is there something more generic? How do we want to call this? I guess, yeah, I guess section is fine, right? Then we're gonna have item ID as well. And then we're gonna have set selected. That's okay, let me think about this a little bit. We could automate some of it, so we could say if you set the if you had set the section, or if you set the item, we could kind of automatically set the selected section, because we know we could just search for it, right? So all right, so I like this. This is, I guess, okay. All right, sure. Yeah. Sure, sure. Yep. All right, cool. Then we need to update all of these stories now, right? Because none of that's gonna work. So let's see if AI can help us a bit with that. And I'm sure it can, right? Sure, okay. Yep. That's good. That's good. That's also good. Yes. Interesting. What happened there? Sure. But then we had set sections. I guess we can get rid of that for now. Cool. Okay. So does that make any sense? Let's see. No, not yet. I mean, actually it does, right? So we can see that works. So we are actually setting them. Now let's actually try out one thing. So actually there is no way of... So actually I guess it is fine. Because you can see that I already did do it. So that's actually, that's fine, I guess. So now we actually have these props outside, right? So we'll need to, so that's very good. So we'll be able to control it here where there is a bug, we'll be able to just set it to null. So there's nothing. Okay, so that's fine, I guess. It would be nice generating some tests for this. And I don't know, I think I wrote some tests for this specific thing. So they're probably gonna fail. Yeah, they're gonna fail. Sure, that's good actually. We do want them to fail. And yeah. So let's actually use cursor for this. So let's say I've updated, if you take a look at the pending changes, I have updated the interface of accordion to take the section and item outside as a prop, including the setters. So let's update these tests to reflect that, right? All right, let's see if it's going to be able to figure it out. Should be able. Yeah, why is this set to auto? Should be set to... All right, interesting. All right. All right. All right, let's take a look at what it did, because I don't trust it fully. All right, correct. Good. All right, cool. Let's run the tests again. Let's see if that makes any sense. Yeah. All right, cool. So all of the tests are passing, so that's very good. Okay, so you can say that is fine now. Okay, let's... Okay, so that was this one. Yeah, okay, so then there was another one. I wanted to improve this crap, right? The card, and actually there's a bunch of these cards which are not really consistent. So we could technically do all of this in one go. Improve the card under courses, show who the author is, course tags, etc. Yeah, I mean, we could do that, right? If I actually go... if we inspect this thing, actually, you know what? Let's go to let's do something like this, right? if we go to, actually never mind, wait, that's good, but we need like, if we take a look at our Swagger, and then if we get the courses, which I believe is what gets called at the front page, right? Hopefully not, actually, no, I don't think so, I hope not. But I think it is actually, so we're doing some we're doing like 2 or 3 left joins for kind of no reason. Vorfamio7, thank you very much for the follow, man, I appreciate that. So yeah, so we can see we're doing a couple of left joins here. So let's actually take a look at our backend. So let's go to the, maybe router. Let's say get courses. Let's take a look at another JSON validator schema. Yeah, for sure. So we're doing a 1 left join, 2, 3, 4 left joins we're doing to get this, which means that right now you can say by no, it is massively unnecessary, even though it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, so actually, so this is what we're doing here, right? So we can simplify that. We don't need to grab all of the data here. So actually, but we recently refactored this in a stream, right? So we're gonna, okay. So let's, yeah. So this is, so yeah, so it's this one, right? So this is our controller. This is the kind of conditional left join using an ORM, right? Using Sequelize. So as you can see, we are getting the users as students because we have a junction table between the user and the, yeah, exactly. So author, sure, that's all fine. So that is in fact fine. The only thing missing here, you could say, for me to do what I wrote here is to include, also do a left join on the tags, right? If we take a look at the database, I believe I have a junction table for these tags as well, right? So if we take a look at the tags, we should have user tags, user followers. Let's take a look at that. We have course. Let's take a look at the model. I don't actually remember. So this is the base schema. Then we have some associations here. We have sections through this table. We have the user model. Is there any mention of a tag? No, there is not. Yeah, that kind of sucks a bit, doesn't it? Because technically, we should be tagging courses, I suppose, as well. So we can either, because we have a polymorphic thing. Kirill, my friend, always happy to see you, dude. It's good, man. It's good. Been to work. We're doing some GCP stuff at work. We're re-releasing some Chrome extension at work. So just been doing some infrastructure today with the Cloud Run and GCP, and then helping my team with some of that. Very good, man. I just randomly decided to stream today. Good to see you, dude. Thank you for coming, man. Always very happy when you're here. So we could create a junction table, right, between the tag that we have in the system, and of course the course, right? So that would be a junction table, a table that links the course to a tag, right? So then we can query something like, hey, give me all courses that belong to whatever tag or tags, right? But do I want to do that now is the question. Probably not. Probably not. It's very simple, not rocket science, just writing a migration file and doing that. What about yourself, man? Did you have any luck with getting a job? I mean, I know that we spoke last time, we went through all of your stuff. Did anything happen? I suppose not, because I guess you would have told me if it did. All right, so Neo, hey friend, good to see you. Always happy to see some of the old fellas that I used to hang out here with when I streamed actively. Yeah, so if we take a look at this, really, I mean, what we could do here is, I mean, yeah, it doesn't actually matter. I guess if we would just show the author here, and the author rating maybe and stuff, I don't think so. I don't think it matters, right? I think at the very least we should show the when the course is created and updated, right? So okay, so let's use some of the AI. I think recently I've been trying Gemini. Gemini has released something called Canvas, right? So what I'm gonna do with this, I haven't used it much, which is why it's fun to try it out in a stream. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say, let's actually try it together, because as somebody who's been writing code for all these years, I'm still waiting for a good AI tool that designs well. I don't care about the code. I need something to design for me. I can write the code myself. Okay, so let's tell something to Gemini, right? So I'm gonna give it my current card, which is basically completely primitive, and it's not very nice, you could say, right? Very low effort. I'm gonna say, hey Gemini, thanks for helping in advance. You gotta treat the AI properly. Can we redesign my course card, add an author, creation date, etc. in simple words, make it look nicer. Let's see what is it going to come up with. Designing is a fun part. Have you built actually any product so far that you have accomplished something with so far? Because when you say that, that indicates to me that you're saying that it's simple, right? Nobody neglects the fact or says that it's fun or not fun. Yes, exactly. So what are you talking about then? What do you know about design? Exactly, right? Exactly. I mean, I don't think that there's any correlation to what you do with what I'm talking about, right? There's nothing harder when building products than designing things. And when I say design, I don't mean just UI, I also mean UX, which is of course the hardest, right? So no, is it fun or not? That's subjective, right? But fun doesn't make it easy, even if it is fun. Let's say it's maybe even fun for you, right? Well, this is what it came up with. So structurally, yeah, I don't know. Create a few more variations. Fuck it. I mean, it's just getting inspired, right? That's all. Let's see what Gemini is gonna come up with. It's not rocket science, but these are the things that require thinking and time and research and validation and talking to people, etc. Right? That's why it's hard when I say. There is nothing in the preview, my dear Gemini. So you can see, like, Google is lacking behind a bit when it comes to this. When it comes to tools such as Lovable and all of these other hyped tools, but I'm actually sure that over time it's gonna get there. Yeah, we can see that it's kind of farting out a bit here. Yeah, for some reason. Okay. But let's go over here to so we have our own existing card, right? And it would actually be ideal. What the fuck happened here? Did I kill this process? Yeah, I did. So let's see. I mean, ideally I want to have something generic that's reused everywhere, right? So I'm not going to be recreating shit all the time. So we could use something like this minus the tags for now, because we don't have a junction table for that. So yeah, we could use this, right? Yeah, we could use that. Let me actually go to that piece of code. So let's go to card, I guess, index, and let me try doing something to it at the very least, right? Yeah, that's minimalistic as I always want it, right? A simple whatever. we had the author there, right? We had the author, then when the course was created, number of students and blah blah. So yeah, that's kind of too custom, you can say. So we can either be clever and generalize it too much, or we could just have a card specific for the courses feature, right? Yeah, right. So we'll have to see about that in a moment. Fuck. Let's actually go to lovable. Let's see what this thing is gonna be. Let's see what this thing is gonna do. Let's try to use it as our pocket designer. A lot of these tools kind of suck ass for anything that's not generic, right? So, so let me go to my Swagger, right? And let's say, given this JSON payload or this schema, JSON schema, generate a course card component that looks nice. Keep it minimalistic, 1 pixel border, etc. Let me try to give it some of my own UI that I built, before. So let's use this thing like this, right? Yeah. You can use the picture, the image that I've provided as a point of reference. Okay, let's see what it does. And use Tailwind 4 and React and TypeScript. Shit, should have told it this already. I guess it's gonna use that already anyway, right? So I suppose. So let's see what, just gonna generate a bunch of this gibberish as always that nobody asked for, but let's see. Let's see what it actually does. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I just need a design. There was another tool that I found. Give me 1 second. Really only for the design, actually. It was called crap, I don't remember how it was called. The thing is, I genuinely just need the design, right? That's the most important thing for me, right? So it's a good question, right? AI tool to generate mockups. I found one tool on I found one tool recently in Product Hunt, but I don't remember what it was. It was actually pretty bad, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't remember. Fuck it. Let's see what this thing does. It's just generating a bunch of garbage now, and internal error. Okay. Just give me the preview, man. What? What the f... Alright. Cassie, my friend, what's up? Alright, screw that. AI has failed there a bit, so let's not waste any more time on that. It's faster to do it this way. So yeah. So I don't think there's anything in particular that I should change here, I suppose. Maybe the question is, let's see, let's get inspiration from the internet, right? Because by the time that you do something, I could have finished this 17 times already, right? That is, let's find something, let's go to Udemy, right? Let's go to these awesome platforms that already work for many years. It's not, this is not, yeah, but yeah, I mean, something like this potentially, right? Yeah, so let's maybe do that, right? And they also don't have a date there, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. So let's maybe adjust this card a bit. So where are we? So we have a card. Do I have tests for this? Yeah, so we'll need to update that as well. Okay. Yeah. So I guess if we are to kind of get inspired by what they do here, right? We're kind of almost there, besides the fact that we're having an author on top, which I guess is a, yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong here. I think it's a matter of, I don't know. So wait a minute, what the hell is happening here? Okay, so I guess this is it, right? No, it's this thing. Then we have a title, and then we have oh, this is an external URL, so we gotta kinda smack it somewhere around here, I suppose. Yeah, exactly, right? I think that's what they're doing. Yeah, and then they have the rating, which we also do have. If I take a look at my Swagger spec, right, I do believe that there's ratings, and then I guess I probably do have some utility that calculates this, at least the average or whatever, how many stars to show. But I do have a rating component, which I'm not actually going to couple with this, because this card has to be as generic as possible. So if we go as far as adding anything course specific, then we're going to create a course card instead of polluting this thing with it, right? Yeah, so technically, yeah, we could go even with this. This date feels like very off over here. I don't know. And maybe potentially we could smack in an avatar of a person or something in here, right? So I could do like avatar. What happened there? And then what do we have here? Size src. Right, and then that's gonna be like author avatar. What is the interface here? Author URL. Oh, I see what's happening here. Okay, so that's a bit weird. You smile. Good evening, buddy. So, I mean, we could say avatar URL, I suppose, right? As an optional prop. There, sure. Right? And then we could do this, and then we can optionally render that, right? And we do want it to be inside of a link, so we should probably say if there is one, show it. And then let's now go to the stories, and let's say let's actually let's just here in the default, let's say whatever. Let's find a 1:1 ratio image so it looks nice. Yeah, right, something like that, I suppose. And then data, here we can say avatar URL. You know, does this actually take us anywhere? Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, let's actually leave it there. All right, cool. Cool. That looks like shit though. So how did I build this avatar component? I don't remember, or I do maybe, I don't know. But let's say size. It's gonna say 24, sure. Yeah, that's not disgusting, I think. Maybe, I don't know. Alright, so that kind of didn't work, did it? Which is a bit weird. Where is this class name added? Ah, I see. Okay, that's because that's weird. Okay, so let's say here class name Yale exclamation mark MT2. Yeah, sure. And then this we could actually try it making a bit bigger. Nah, it's too big. And then is this zoomed in? It is zoomed in. Okay. Yeah, there is. Yes, for sure. Good, man, good. I mean, as you probably noticed, Cassie, I'm not streaming much. I do maybe 2-3 times a month. But it's good, man, good. You know, my wife is pregnant, right? So we're waiting for a second kid, so that's exciting. 3 more months. Yeah, going to work still, man, enjoying it, having a lot of fun with my colleagues. Streaming occasionally here when I feel like it. Running my team at work. What is to say? It's pretty good, dude. Pretty good. Thank you very much. Thanks. That's very kind of you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. You know, I don't stream much or anything like that. I try to build programmer network, as you can see. Still, thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Yeah. So there's that, and yeah. I mean, and yeah. Occasionally, I just come here, hang out with you guys when I can. But yeah, it's very good. Very good. 20 years into this industry and still loving it. You got to yourself, then you know. But it's good, man. I still enjoy going to work. I still have fun. I still learn new things. I still find inspiration in different things. Maybe not in programming so much anymore, but into uplifting others and helping my team and helping other people, helping my sales, helping my marketing, helping my CS, right? So that is the beauty of career, right? You rediscover your new things that where, you know, after you have coded 7 billion APIs and built 5 billion components and whatnot and built 10,000 infrastructures, right? Then you kind of get inspired more by people than by you know, these types of things. You know how it is. Yeah, that is slightly weird though. Yeah. No, it's that's the component library I built for Programmer Network, if you remember, right? So it's nothing that we have switched to. It's just that is the library that I built long ago. I mean, it's something that I've built throughout these streams building Programmer Network, right? So it's our own library, if you remember. If we go to Programmer Network organization here, why is Docker so mainstream? I don't think that Docker is mainstream. Docker is one of the most important tools that exist today for software developers and for IT in general. So it's not mainstream per se. It's one of the core technologies that enable us to run infrastructure today in Kubernetes, in Docker Swarm, in Docker Compose, in any orchestrator out there, right? So Docker is just amazing, right? Docker is simply, Docker is probably one of the best things that happened to our industry in past 20 years, right? Because for those of you who are young enough or haven't had the chance to program before, we used to run virtual machines and etc. to run certain things, and that was very inefficient, right? Virtual machines are simply inefficient because we used to run full-fledged operating systems and etc. So when the Docker came out and when we realized how to utilize some kernel-related features in a smart way, like C groups and stuff like that, then things changed. You know, I mean, Programmer Network this project that I built in this stream throughout these 2 years, whatever, as I occasionally stream, is running on 25 different Docker containers, right? I mean, the whole infrastructure you see when you go to programming network is built on Docker, right? So so that's why Docker is amazing. If you don't know Docker, you must know Docker. It's a miracle. All right. Yeah, I mean, Docker is very intuitive. Docker is super simple and it's very declarative, right? Writing Docker files, using Docker Compose, Docker Swarm. Kubernetes is, of course, very hard. Kubernetes is huge and that's a different subject entirely. But if we stick to Docker, the reason why Docker is awesome, there are many reasons, but one of the main reasons is it's so simple as well, right? And almost a newbie could learn to write a Docker file and define, hey, I want this operating system, and then I want these specific things to run when this image is built, and then I want my container to run this and that, etc., etc., etc. So, and then, you know, once you have more containers, more images, then you're like, okay, well, now I really want to have an API and MongoDB, Postgres, Neo4j, Elasticsearch, Redis, whatever, right? Then you're like, how can I make these things talk to each other? Like these self-encapsulated, isolated services, how can I make them talk to each other? Then you start using Compose and Swarm and Kubernetes and many others, right? It's an infrastructure subject. Okay, I'm actually procrastinating here a little bit because so one thing that I really dislike here is the date. I don't actually like it for some reason. I think it's pretty terrible, to be honest. And of course, okay, you could say that in this context, it's not really. I mean, we could. No, I mean, this is right now we are inside of the storybook, right? So this is just dummy data, right? So it doesn't really matter, right? We could just convert this. It's not relevant to say now. It does need it. I mean, of course, everything needs some system to run on. I mean, that's unavoidable, right? You're gonna always have a host of some kind, right? The point with the Docker versus virtual machines, besides, again, many things, not to get into it because then I'm gonna derange from what I want to do today in the stream. The point isn't to avoid hosting a system. The point is that you can have super slim, light images that are barely 30-40 megabytes, right? Running whatever you want. So you have the absolute ability to run any distro you want and cut it to any small degree that you want, right? Versus running virtual machines like VMware and stuff like that before, where you would run literally Windows Server, Windows 2000, Xubuntu, Fedora, whatever, right? You would run a full-fledged system, right? So right, so that's kind of why. The thing is, keep in mind, by the way. So somebody mentioned use data string. You definitely don't want. When you're building. You see, this Yale is my component library that I built for Programmer Network. You definitely don't want to create these opinionated date formatting strings inside of your core component. You need these things to be as generic as possible, meaning this component card, if it does support a date as an attribute, let's say this function card, it takes a date as one of the arguments, you don't want to limit yourself to one date format in most cases, unless you have really generalized that and standardized across your entire project, then sure, you could say, right? But in this case, I don't want to. This date, if you ask, this component could be just as well a banana, right? So the consumer of this component is responsible for ensuring that the data is what they want it to be. And this is incredibly important. This is why probably 80% of developers in UI still suck. Like, I've met so many senior people building user interfaces that still misunderstand fundamentals, basics of building user interfaces on anything, not just the web, Windows, Mac OS and stuff. You want to keep your data separated from your UI. You don't want to be coupling these two, right? So if you want the date to be in shape X, your data should be in shape X, and your UI should simply render it. So what you're gonna typically see is something like this here, like some utils, some date utils dot convert to some date, and then date, right? This is a massive anti-pattern, right? You should not be converting dates in your user interface. That should already come, even ideally, if possible, from the API as ready as it has to be, right? So this is why, exactly, right? So this is why so many user interfaces suck. Have you done applications? I have. I've wrote also some open source libraries 6 years ago for that. I actually wrote, I think, 1 or 2 open source libraries for Electron. I don't know. Yeah, this one. This I wrote. So 6 years ago I worked with Electron, yeah. I wrote this 6 or 7 years ago, yeah. I've done that work when I was at Airtime, yeah. All right, anyway, I just wanted to share some insights there for those who care. Okay, great. So let's just keep it as is. So I'm not gonna spend any more time on this. I'm gonna run the tests. I will run the tests, which will fail, I hope. That's why we have them, so they fail when we change something. Very good. Okay. And well, that's what I did. Okay, I mean, okay, so keep in mind, you're absolutely right, but that argument is very, very, very sensitive, right? So as you can see, I have built the Yale, this whole component library. Everything is built by me, and you could say I've done that because I do this as a side project. I'm going to be doing this project for many years to come, without a doubt. So I'm not pressured by funds, by time, by money. In fact, I do this in any pace that I prefer. I might not do it for a month, then I might do it for 2 months. And due to that, I have the ability to do it however I want. But keep in mind, if I now wanted to build a startup in a month or 2, say that I had money now to run for 2-3 months with a friend of mine, I would then most likely never build my own component library, because you need to move fast. You don't have the time to like I do here, spending 2 hours on modifying a card, right? Because it's meaningless, it's irrelevant. So there are certain times when you want to do that and certain times when you don't want to do that, right? So if you're starting an actual company and you're trying to build a product in a lean way, ship fast, fail fast, you definitely want to... Yeah, we use AI at Dream Data where I work. I use AI also in Programmer Network here. So if you go to Programmer Network, like if you have signed up, if you read a thought here, for example, and you save it, I'm using OpenAI to put that, to tag that in a appropriate tag right now. For example, that's a tiny thing. So if you now write something on Programmer Network, that's going to be, AI has the context of all the tags in our system. Then it's going to choose basically it's text classification, you can say, right? I'm also using for Programmer Network TensorFlow not safe for work model, where when you're uploading an image, we ensure that that's more like machine learning, not really an AI. But at Dream Data where I work, we use AI regularly, yes, of course. All right, so let's see what the hell happened here. Oh, I think I know. I think I know what broke it. And that's why tests are so awesome, right? That's why I love tests, man. I guess, so wait, let's just do one thing here. Because it could be that now, yeah, exactly, okay. So we essentially need to update that assertion, right? Which test was it? Let's make sure it fails again. Let's make sure it fails again. Yeah, it's this one. Conditionally renders author and date based on props. Yeah, sure. So I suppose if we smack this bad boy into a template literal, right, and append the pipe operator, or you would typically call that pipe in the Linux world, right? Piping the input from one function to another. Let's see if this passes now. Still farts out, interesting. And yeah, that's because we have updated the wrong thing, it seems, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I get, no, we did actually update the right thing. We just need to update another one. Is it a good idea to explain technical features when trying to sell a SaaS subscription to a client without a technical background? I mean, I don't think that technicalities matter, right? I don't think that user is ever buying Rust or JavaScript or Haskell or Clojure. People are buying time, right? So whenever somebody buys your product, for the most part, we're talking about expensive products or products that actually solve problems, right? So not nice to have, like programmer network platform I'm building that because I want it and because it potentially could be something useful, but it's definitely not even remotely mandatory. Twitter is not mandatory, Facebook is not mandatory, so these products are a place for people to waste some time, right? But when you're building a product of value, then that has to solve some concrete problem, right? And if you're talking to a client or a potential customer, you want to sell the value. Hey, this is why you should buy this because it solves this. It's going to save you 1 hour a week or 5 hours a week. That's 20 hours a month of time. So you're going to have 2 full days to spend with your daughter, right? Do you think building mission critical software is more rewarding? I don't think that that depends what you mean by rewarding, right? Building business that generates profit has always been and it always will be the ultimate challenge, right? As I said many times in this stream, code as programming code is an absolute liability, and programming is useless for the humanity except the developers, right? So that's why as humanity we've been trying to obsolete programming so we no longer have to program writing gibberish, right? So for example, people today are very concerned about AI and some are even shocked, but that's because most people don't know the history of programming. Like we've been trying to run away from programming for decades, right? We started very low level with assembly and binary and stuff, and then we've been climbing the abstraction ladder decade by decade because humanity doesn't find programming code is a liability. It's not an asset, it's a cost, right? So building software as in writing code is meaningless, it's useless. Nobody cares about code, right? Except programmers who happen to make money to survive off of their jobs. Of course we do care, right? So rewarding, in your question, we need to know what the rewarding means, right? Because fundamentally, do you mean like writing some specific code in these mission critical software, or the mission or the outcome of that software, right? But either way, yeah, I don't know. You would need to be a bit more specific. I mean, for sure, like, I don't think that technical people are going anywhere. I mean, you're always going to need some sort of IT people in one shape or another. That's simply because keep in mind that we still have programmers who program in Pascal and COBOL and C and in Haskell and in Clojure, because there's still thousands, if sometimes millions of systems using these languages, right? So only the biggest problem with influencers, like 95% of them, is that most of them never actually had a real job. They never really supported a customer. They never really saw how the current state of software is. There's literally tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of websites that somebody will have to maintain. They suck. They're half working. They're full of bugs. People don't even know credentials to their servers, their FTP servers, their database, right? So only a person who lacks huge amount of experience in this industry can say that in next 2 years programmers are going to be without jobs. That is just absolutely ridiculous, right? Because again, the industry is changing rapidly. That's very true. But hundreds of millions of websites and tools and servers and server racks and data centers are not going to simply code themselves, right? This industry doesn't work that way. So for many years we're going to be doing what we are doing now. It's going to take many years until we shift the paradigm, right? Of okay, now programmers are no longer writing code. So if it ever happens, it's going to take a long time. But for sure, one thing is for certain, we, as always, will be running away from writing code. Because again, humanity, in my opinion, like, I have a hard time accepting this because I've been programming for more than 20 years, but I'm trying to not be affected by my own bias, and I have to admit, people shouldn't be writing code at all. Machines should be writing this code. We should be interfacing eventually with machines through our natural language. And I think that is simply how it will be one day. Now, we're very far from that day, like globally, because even the countries that are embracing AI today are highly advanced countries with very high education rate in their countries, high economies, etc., etc. You still have 80% of the planet that barely has internet in some areas, let alone AI that's gonna, solve their problems. So even prompt engineering at one point in time is going to become low level, right? So without a doubt, in a couple of decades from now, maybe 2 decades, 3 decades, we're going to be programming that we know today is going to be a thing of the past, right? It's just saying that it's going to happen in 2 years or 3 years or whatever is simply only a person that has absolutely zero idea, that has never built a product, can say shit like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, cool. All right, so we've updated this thing now. So you could say that we're gonna actually end up Would you sell your honesty then in the future, since the story of DeepSeek and even OpenAI, there's a history of using user data? I mean, JS Maniac, I you know that I'm a realist and I'm a little bit brutal and a little bit raw. I'm not a. When I stream here, I actually don't care. I say exactly what I think. At least I never go over my values, my beliefs, right? My belief system. I think that whenever I hear an argument about user data, right, I want to puke a little bit because people are literally putting their porn videos with their wives and girlfriends on iCloud and Google Drive and stuff. They're creating Facebooks and Twitters and the privacy subject for most people is simply ridiculous, right? Because privacy is not about privacy is not a matter of talk, or just like everything else in life. Everything in life is about action, right? It's about being actionable. Like privacy is about users behaving on the internet in a way that they respect their own privacy, right? If you put shit publicly on the internet and expect that companies are not going to use that, I would at best, not to be rude, call that naive. At worst, I would call that stupid, right? So everybody is using your data, man, since dawn of time. I mean, how do you think that Google and Facebook and all of these companies, right, are worth hundreds of billions of dollars? I mean, like, how do you think that they're free, under quotes? You know the old saying, right? If the service is free, then, you know, well, the price that you are the product of it, right? So the price you're paying is with something. So if you're expecting to go to Twitter, Facebook, or any of these platforms and not pay anything, and then also expect that your data is safe, again, that is incredibly naive, right? So that's just how it is, man. And I don't think that you should read a book from you should buy a book called Techno-Feudalism. It's written by the ex-prime minister of Greece, Yanis Varoufakis, right? This book, as you can derive from the title, maybe, this is the book I advise you to read. But you don't even need to read the book if you just know what the feudalism was throughout not very long ago, right? Before we had communism and socialism and stuff. Then you realize that we are today slaves, basically, of 4 or 5 corporations, right? You have Amazon and Google and etc., 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 right? So it's over complaining about it now, right? So Max, congratulations, man. I'm very happy for you. Good job. Good job, man. I would argue that people didn't know what they are agreeing to, because, yeah, they agree to share their data in terms of conditions, but did an average person realize that? I mean, I think, man, like, the right Twix, I think that, I mean, again, I have to just say this again. I'm a realist, man. I think that an average human being today doesn't care, man. Like, how can I say this without sounding super rude? I'm gonna sound rude anyway. It's just, how can I not sound completely rude, right? So let me just put it this way. We're gonna derange a bit from programming just for a second, but let me show you. This is a John Doe, right? This is an average human today. Bear with me. Just bear with me, and then I think you're gonna probably agree. And I'm very sorry that this is not programming, but I think it's an interesting subject. So this is an average John Doe, and this girl or a guy, whatever you want to be, or whatever else, for those who are more woke, this guy wakes up, right? And or this girl, and really, like, because of this guy, things such as ideologies and trends, etc. exist, right? You know, when somebody tells you, oh, this year we're listening to this music, this year we're dressing like this year we're thinking like this, and then John Doe is heavily influenced by his ideology, whatever that ideology is. Of course, everybody, left, right, center, up, down, whatever, all of these ideologies are the same cancer of society, right? Of course, each side always thinks that they're right, but fundamentally they're very, very much the same. No matter the values, they're both groups are incapable of thinking and behaving individualistic sufficiently to say, well, okay, I don't actually have to choose. I can be more critical thinker than falling, right? So why am I saying this? What does this have to do with privacy? Well, you know, like when Jordan Peterson says, he says, just let the person you meet talk for 2 minutes, and you will know if you are talking to a person or ideology, right? This has changed my life, actually. This tip from Peterson literally worked, and I've tested this countless times. So whenever you meet, tomorrow when you meet a new person, try this, and you're gonna instantly know, are you talking to an individual that's capable of thinking, capable of self-awareness, critical thinking, capable of disagreeing and agreeing and accepting some new information, or you're talking to just a predefined set of ideas. Because if the latter is true, then you already know what that person is. You just need to know the ideology. So if they're left, they're gonna come up with these responses. If they're right, if they're right. So what the fuck does this have to do with privacy? Well, an average person today is so busy with these arbitrary, idiotic things in life. People on the left want 473 genders. People on the right want something else, right? Etc, etc, etc. So an average John Doe doesn't give a shit or think about what happens to my data on the internet, right? This requires a deeper thought and deeper understanding of your own personal behavior and what you do in life in general, right? So the point is, like, the techno-feudalism exists because an average person, my mom, for example, she's on Facebook for 20 years. She doesn't even know what privacy means, probably, right? And I'm sure that there's a million times worse people than her in that regard, right? So those people who do care about privacy, they show that by actions, right? For example, I don't have Facebook, I don't have Twitter, never in my life I had Twitter, never in my life I had Instagram, never in my life I've even seen TikTok once. I don't even know how it looks like, right? And I don't do this because of privacy. I do this because I think these platforms are absolute cancer for human mind, for your dopamine levels, for your brain. These things are creating a generation of junkies. But I put my money where my mouth is, and I simply refuse to use them because my wife doesn't have them, my kids hopefully is not going to have them, right? So fundamentally, let's not talk about privacy. If you want privacy, you have to behave and respect yourself by simply, because everybody knows, man. Let's not pretend that, how can you assume that you sign up on something that's free and like this is almost socialist in a very, I love social capitalism. I think that's a perfect system, a system where capital is free and people can grow and companies can grow, but also a system where we don't leave anyone hungry. So I love that. But I mean, like, how can you expect that you're going to use a service of any kind fully for free? I mean, like, how could these services even hire people and exist if they're free, right? I mean, so it's not free, man. Whenever you sign up somewhere and it's free, it's not free. You're paying it somehow. So it's your responsibility as an intellectual, as an individual, to figure out, how am I paying for this? What exactly? And if you'll read the terms of service, I'm 100% sure it's going to tell you that. But who the fuck reads terms of service? You just click accept and you move on, right? So this is my take on it, right? Max, my pleasure, man. Thank you very much. So this is my philosophy about it. So exactly. I mean, so let's not, like, act innocent, right? Let's not act as if we don't know. Would this reason discourage signing up? Well, I mean, I'm very transparent about. So Programmer Network, of course, is a very different story. And now I know it sounds ridiculous, but let me tell you how. Programmer Network, as you probably know, JS Maniac, is using 0 third-party services. So I'm building Programmer Network, so COGS, costs of goods sold, metric, right, remains almost to 0. So in simple words, I'm trying to build a product which maintenance is going to cost nearly nothing, right? Because when you build a product that's almost self-sufficiently maintained, then you don't need to monetize it. And there's no tracking on Programmer Network, there's never going to be. And my hope for this product for a very long time was that it's actually funded by community. It's like you chip in $5 over the stream, somebody chips in $10 over Patreon, and we pay hosting, we pay this and that, right? So the point of this project is to be self-sustained, right? So that's fundamentally different. And of course, it is a project that I built fully inside of this stream, so it's gonna very unrealistically become another Twitter, let's face it, right? I mean, I think Rebel. I think one thing that I've realized, and I have a lot of colleagues at work. We're all kind of semi-asshole philosophers. We like to talk every single day in the office. We try to talk, AI, bunch of interesting subjects, and by thinking and by talking to other people, and by just thinking out loud, you can kind of develop some of these things. But if you actually go back in time and read some ancient Greek philosophy, then you realize that there's literally nothing that I've said here that's new. Actually, in fact, there's nothing that anyone has said past probably few hundred years that actually hasn't been said before. So for example, when we talk about productivity, responsibility, proactiveness, and not reactiveness, we're talking about stoicism, right? Which exists for how many hundreds of years, right? So it's just that because as more and more generations coming out, less and less we read, then we are more blown away by like, oh, if I go to the gym, I'm gonna lose weight. What? Really? How could anyone think about that? So there's a lot of, I invented this term called recycled philosophy. I don't actually know if I invented it, at least for myself I did. And basically most stuff you hear on this stream, probably directly or indirectly, or in any other stream, any other creator, any other news media, is a recycled philosophy, right? So it's just whose face do you like to look at more? Is it mine or is it someone else's, right? So I would say there's nothing really original to be said here that hasn't been said before, right? All right, cool. All right, and actually there was another thing that I did a couple of streams ago when I streamed. Yeah, it was this crap, which actually looks like shit completely, yeah. So maybe I would like to fix that. What was it? Badge, right? Yeah. But very interesting discussions. I really like it. I like to talk about these types of things. It's really fun. This morning I spoke to my colleague Yanis. He's a Greek at work. We discussed the AI and stuff. Man, it was such an interesting discussion. We spoke for maybe half an hour, but discussed it from a philosophical standpoint, not from like a job standpoint and stuff. I mean, JS Maniac, dude, more power to you, dude. Like, the reason why I keep... So I've been working now for 18 years full-time. The reason why I'm so empowered still to go to work, literally I can't wait tomorrow to wake up and go to work, is because I speak to people like you whenever I can. I like to surround myself with people who agree and disagree, even more so disagree with me. So, fuck yeah, ask these questions, dude. Because that is exactly, this is the type of community when I actively stream that I wanted to create. Like, just a community of people who like to be rational. Like, no bullshit, like as I call it, influencer-driven development and any of this. Just try to build a community of people who are just realists, not pessimists, optimists, leftists, rightists, uppers, downers, right? And people don't like to hear this shit, man. Because like all of these bullshit catchy things, ADD, this syndrome, that syndrome. I get sick in my stomach from this crap, right? I get sick in stomach from this crap because in most cases, the most privileged group of people in our society is bitching about these things. If you have an issue with focusing, this is my tip for you. put yourself in a place where you're hungry. Put yourself in a place where you're scared for you and your family. And you're going to see how quickly you're going to be laser sharp focused, right? So there's so much bullshit on the internet, which people think that it helps them because they sit together and they just cry on each other's shoulder, like, you know. But then nobody has built up the perception of, fuck, how did my grandparents live? Or their parents? How was it for them to fucking grow the land 10 hours a day and feed the right? So in order to build yourself to be a rational person, you need to build perspectives on the past and the future, on people who are having it worse than you, and so many things, right? And I often feel that when I watch some content that YouTube often recommends me, it's always like, oh, it's so hard. I need, it's like, dude, like, come on, bro, just you know, I can't, I have no taste for it. I literally can't listen to it anymore, right? And this type of shit sells, right? Because it's easier to feel pity for yourself and do nothing than actually do something about your fucking life, man. Oh, you know why I didn't do this? ADD. Oh, you know why I didn't do it? Oh, yeah. It's like, shut the fuck up, man. Just do something, bro. Just grow up, right? Like, is it maybe that you can't focus because you've watched 17 hours this week of YouTube already? You wake up, you take your shitty phone and you scroll some feed for like 17 hours, right? Is that maybe why you can't focus, right? So, again, this is the type of stuff that people should do to get better. Not like sit on each other's, right? And, anyway, I'm sorry. I just, I get very heated. I trigger myself when I talk about these things. Most of all, I trigger myself. Yeah. Either way, my intentions, as for those of you who've been here for a long time, are always the best, and I know that you know that. So that's just how it is, man. That's just how it is. It's just that. It's just the thing is, man. Just like you, Cassie. I have kids, right? I'm gonna have 2 of them soon, right? And I just want to be able to affect at least people around me in a way to like understand that everything around you in your life is yeah. It's actually, Twitch is therapy for me, not for you guys. Actually, that's a good realization. It's actually true. It's like when I need to vent out, I just come here. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good realization for sure. Twins coming? No, not twins. I have one kid already. He's almost 6 years old, so a new one is coming. New one is coming. All right, so that's fine. Is there some test that I? It's a boy. It's another boy. Yeah. Is JavaScript still very I mean, the thing is, man, like many people will disagree. I don't treat TypeScript as a language, right? TypeScript is a superset. People call it language. TypeScript team might call it a language. I don't call it a language, right? JavaScript is the language. TypeScript compiles to JavaScript, which is interpreted by the interpreter in the browser by whatever V8 or whatever the browser uses underneath, right? I do believe that you need to know JavaScript if you want to build web apps. Today or in 10 years from now, I've spent probably 10, 15 years, maybe a decade ago, when we didn't have all of these frameworks so influencing the community, right? I think it's very important that you learn it. I mean, TypeScript for most projects really just adds basic simple types, right? So I mean, majority of projects don't really consume TypeScript in a way that you could, like when you install TypeScript, because TypeScript is built by the C# team at Microsoft, you could use generics and polymorphism and a bunch of stuff. You could build it in an object-oriented way, almost as if you're writing. Of course, even in Insanity, you don't want to be writing classes and inheritance and stuff. Of course not. JS Mania, good night, man. Thank you very much for being here, man. So fundamentally, of course, you should learn JS and TypeScript. There's very little to learn about TypeScript. I mean, TypeScript, most of the parts that you need, you can learn if you're a developer already in an hour, right? Literally, if you have ever written a language that's static like C++, C#, Java, and countless others, then you must know what an enum is, what an interface is, what a struct is, right? Even though there's no structs in TypeScript, right? And if you do know that, then you can learn TypeScript in half an hour, for the most part. Also, if you've used generics in any other language, then you're going to also know them in TypeScript, right? So there's nothing about TypeScript that's necessarily too special, right? It's just type system, right? Kabuto, I mean, I don't really know exactly what I said. Maybe all of this is recorded for YouTube, but fundamentally, you just need to be, man. Like, I actually had this conversation, literally this conversation this morning with my colleague at work. Man, just try to be a kid all the time, dude. Try to be curious about everything all the time. Like, and this is not some bullshit cliche. This is not some exaggeration. I genuinely mean it. Try to literally. It's a training. It's almost like religion in a way. Try to appreciate shit around you. It actually maybe even sounds a little bit spiritual, but for me it has nothing to, like, try to enjoy talking to people, agreeing with them, disagreeing. Especially try to surround yourself with people that are different than you, people that you can learn something from, right? And people that are smarter than you. I mean, there's a bunch of people at work which are a lot smarter than me and stuff like that. And I'm always so inspired to hear them, what they have to say and what they have to share, right? So these are the reasons why I enjoy going to work, because there's so many people. And I'm not talking about programming, fuck programming. Like, you can learn anything from life tips, from marketing and sales and customer success support, whatever it is, right? It's just try to be involved into whatever you're doing. Doesn't matter if it's boring or not. So if somebody's telling you that this new building that they're building is made of this material, right? Then try to get interested about that. It's so many things. I mean, if I had more time, I'm playing saxophone, I'm playing guitar my whole life. I built this project. I have wife and kids and all. So there's so many things you can do, right? It's just because once you get interested into doing things, you should appreciate that you're alive, man. I don't think that no, not really. Do you think you're going to encourage your kids to learn to code? No, not at all. Not at all. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, this journey for me started very randomly when I was really young. I loved computers since 1995 or 6 when I got my first computer. It was literally random and very natural. It had nothing to do with nobody in my life ever once told me to do computers, right? So if my son Nikolai or another son in a couple of months when he's born one day, if they want to learn to code, I mean, I'm here to help, but no, I don't think that there's anything fascinating about programming, right? Maybe for me there is, but I think in general, I don't think that, I don't know. Let's see if they want to do it, sure, but I'm 36. Has been anything? No, man. Of course, no rebel. No, not at all, dude. I mean, I was born in the Balkans, right? I lived through 2 wars already, right? So there's been a lot of shit in my life. I think that, I mean, to be very honest with you, again, it's really about your perception, man. I think most of the things that you can derive from what I'm saying is perception, right? If you can if you can build your perception in a good way, basically focus on things you have, for example, and not on the things you don't have. For instance, family is my personally by far, there's nothing even remotely close to importance like that. So if you can understand, for me personally, these basic concepts of society, for example, it's very modern today to be like anti-family. I find that personally very ridiculous, because if you look at the thousands of years of evolution of humankind, if we haven't had a concept of some sort of family, tribes, groups, whatever, we wouldn't have survived, right? So for me, a bunch of these things just were always, since I was very young, just naturally logical, maybe because my parents raised me like that, who knows, maybe. But some of the things have been easy in that sense. I have changed very little in my core beliefs now when I'm 36 and when I was 10. My core beliefs are more or less very constant. And that's why I'm 36 and I've been with my wife for 18 years now. We met when we were like after high school, right? So these types of core beliefs, I believe, is what gives you a huge push in life. Because as long as you can stick to them and stick to your character, and not change your character to make others happy, then you're going to be happy, and then you're going to find people who are going to like you, versus your whole life spending just trying to be liked by everybody, or trying to... So it's the same with this stream, right? I've been streaming for some time, right? And I don't have thousands of people watching me, but people who do come to watch me, they come to watch exactly, they know what I say and who I am. And I'm never going to tell you something that I told you a year ago, or I'm not going to tell you tomorrow something vastly different, right? So that is kind of something that I think people underestimate a lot in life, right? Is that you just have to build yourself character in a way that makes you happy, that keeps your soul in place, and never go over your values, right? No matter the price. So I don't think has been easy or not. I think for me, what has been easy is I've never wondered what I want. I almost always, since I was very young, knew what I wanted, right? I started commercial experience when I was 18 years old, when I finished my high school. How come many cutting-edge things come from places like Luxembourg or Switzerland? Perception sounds spot on, but it feels there's still something else missing in terms of society around. I think, Rebel, that's maybe a little bit different discussion right now. I think you're more talking now about economics than some of this like personal type of stuff that makes a human happy, right? I don't think that an average person in Switzerland necessarily is happier because cutting edge things are made there, right? And also keep in mind that probably if you would do some analysis of that, you would probably realize that even these cutting edge things that do come from these areas, probably 80% of engineers there are not from Switzerland or Luxembourg, right? It's the same here. I mean, I can tell you that here in Copenhagen, where I live with my family, 90% of engineers in every company are not from Denmark, right? It's Romania, Serbia, Croatia, Russia, Ukraine, America, United States, Germany, whatever, right? And yet, Denmark has Novo Nordisk, bunch of insanely good known products were built here, right? So they have the economy, they have an amazing culture, they have built an awesome society, awesome system, people are happy here. But I think it's economy, right? I mean, they can sustain a level of failure for longer. I mean, I think if you so I think T-Master, I think one thing that people, I think one of the biggest mistakes that West has been making now for 50, 60 years, primarily the US, is that so let me kind of, since we're chatting about random shit anyway, let me just share that as well. I think that I think that people here in the West, for some reason, have this self-righteous feeling of righteousness or whatever, right? And people from here, from the West, where we live, feel like we should be, in fact, not just commenting on how other nations live, but also we should be enforcing that they should live like us, right? The biggest problem with that argument is that you completely ignore thousands of years of culture in these countries, right? So, for example, you mentioned China, right? China has more than 1 billion people. Just as a comparison, Denmark has 6 million people. So a village, a suburb of a village in China has more citizens than Denmark, right? And then you say, well, you know, I remember when Bernie Sanders from the US was coming to Denmark and Sweden, and then he went back to the US, and he's like, yeah, why can't we be a country like Denmark? It's like, dude, you have 250 million people, man. You have vastly different cultures and et cetera, right? So not to go too philosophical about it, you cannot take a system that works, that has been actually built in blood, in colonization, in taking mass amount of resources all over the world, building a society that's now beautiful indeed, and then applying that same model blindly into other places. That's like using reactjs to write CPU drivers, or writing C programming language to write CSS, right? So like, if you think as an engineer about most things in life, if you involve critical thinking, if you take a pen and paper and draw graphs and trees and stuff, you can very easily derive why so many things in life happen, why there's war in Ukraine, why there's this there, why there's this there, why is everybody quiet about, let's say, people dying in Palestine, etc., etc. So all of these things is something that the average engineer can figure out in 5 minutes if you just turn on your brain, right? Meaning if you just think, right? I'm just reading a question. I'm sorry, give me a second. Too late to get into programming after 30. No, man. Jimi Hendrix started playing guitar when he was like 26, and he's a legend. It's never late. I mean, these are very philosophical subjects, and it's incredibly crucial not to try to not be emotional about any of them, because these are highly complex geopolitical issues, and they can never be boiled down to yes and no, good and bad. I think one of the problems of Hollywood and Californication and globalization is that people have been dumped down to a level of thinking that is so primitive that it's intellectually insulting. An average human today, when they watch news, expects this type of information: who is evil and who is good. There is no space for more. I'm not gonna get into like this and that. Just tell me who should I be cheering for, right? But when you talk about many of these large complex issues, man, it's so multi-variablic, right? There's so many things to understand to derive any rational conclusion that an average person doesn't have the time for that. A person who has a job and kids and family doesn't have the time to sit and research each one of these conflicts, each one of these issues, etc., 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 right? People in Palestine die because of their own hate. And war in Ukraine happens because of previous slave policy, which doesn't want to abandon. I mean, these are honestly, please take no offense, these are very primitive statements, right? I don't know how to respond to that, right? These are this is a very, very shallow way to look at things, right? I think that if you're saying that thousands of children of age 3 or 4 and 5 that are brutally murdered every day are dying because of their own hate, then I think you have a different problem. But that's beside the point, right? There are many other issues about that conflict that are like not even like here in most places here in Europe there isn't even news about people dying there, right? So that should at the very least ring some bells in your head why that is, right? I just think that but let's yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's well, Kabuto, I 100% empathize with you. I'm not gonna sit here in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and pretend that I know better what's in Ukraine. I'm sorry what's happening to your country. I do have to say I'm sorry for that. I do have to say that you cannot deny that you're at the very least, no matter how intellectual you might be, you cannot deny that you are influenced, biased about that, because basically you have your allies now are the ones who are fully, let's say, responsible for what's happening in Palestine, almost, right? So it would be illogical for you and especially your government to say anything otherwise, right? So I would say that our conversation would not yield any results, right? Because I don't think that you should. I actually empathize with you so much that I don't even expect you to agree with me, because I know how that is, right? But I think that's not a great take, if you ask me. Saying that civilians are dying because their own hate towards a country, and having that as an argument of justification of flattening down, buildings, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, okay, I mean, yeah, fuck it, screw that. We cannot discuss that, especially not here when we are not sitting together over a beer or over some food, right? So screw that. That it's not gonna take us. It's way more complicated than the way that you are. I think that it's. I would say that, yeah. I would personally say that what's happening to people there is one of the most shameful things, if not the most shameful thing that I've seen in human history since I'm alive. And this hasn't. Listen, I'm completely apolitical. I hate politicians equally on all sides, on all ideologies. I think most of them are dumb as fuck and just idiots. But when you have your own children, and when then you see some of these areas just brutalized fully to the ground, without us here in the West even having decency to put it on the TV, right? So somebody has probably decided, let's not even report on this. I find that to be a human tragedy. So no matter what your affiliations are, no matter who you cheer for, no matter what, that cannot be right. That simply cannot be right? So, I mean, come on. Let's not, it's just insane. Okay, yeah, I mean, what a strange stream. I don't think that I've ever done this. Yeah, but I mean, dude, that's none of our business, man. Like, none of your business, none of my business. Just as well as it should not be Russians' business what your country does, right? So you have to. This is the logical fallacy here that you are maybe even saying, right? You're saying certain things by not realizing that by doing so you are creating a fallacy of such kind where what's happening to your country is almost justified now, right? There's no ifs and whats, right? Every country in theory should be independent and be able to do things that they think they should do for themselves, right? And people in that country should fight these regimes if they want to, right? Isn't that the same premise in your own country right now, right? So you cannot, this is the biggest problem with double standards. Once you open these boxes, right? Sure, but that's now very different, right? The thing is, the system and the international law either works or it doesn't, right? It cannot work when you want it and not work when you don't want it, right? So that is the problem. Okay, fuck it. Have you seen the recent arguments between Vercel guy and Cloudflare? No, I have not. To be very honest with you, I never in my life, since I'm a programmer, I don't think that I've ever watched a single drama or anything like that. I simply find very little fun in that. So I don't watch these podcasts, especially if something is, because I simply don't care about it. I love Cloudflare. Cloudflare is probably one of the only companies on earth that I actually like. I've been using Cloudflare for 20 years almost for free, and I think it's the best company on earth for developers that offers so many things for free. It's absolutely incredible. So I know, but no, and Vercel, yeah, Vercel is just an abstraction over AWS, so it's also not a product that I use or that I've used for anything reasonable. Okay, yeah, a little bit weird, a little bit strange discussions, I must admit. But that's what it is. That's how it is sometimes, I suppose. Give me 1 second, I just wanna see if that's fixed as well. Yeah, I think it is. Was there, if there was any question that I missed, especially programming wise, please repeat it. Let's talk about economics. I mean, I'm very dumb about economics, right? I mean, I have some... I mean, you probably don't want to hear my opinion on that. I do... I don't know. I have some, basically, opinions which are completely meaningless because they're probably 100% inaccurate, right? Because they're not based in any... Like, I have on my to-do list for now, for a couple of years, some of the economics books to read. I never got to it, to be honest. I always read something else. And I started following Yanis, the guy who wrote Techno-Feudalism book. So I learned a lot from him past years since I started following, because I have a colleague at work, Yanis. He's also named Yanis, so he suggested me him. So I'm kind of learning a bit, but is this only ideology, or can we build? I don't think, I mean, the thing is, like, no matter what your ideology is, if you are heavily influenced by your own ideas, and even worse, ideas of others, then your fate as a thinker is limited. It literally doesn't matter what ideology is. Like, you can have a person that you agree on 100% with. Like, I think that every person today should do their absolute best to fight against bias, their own bias. Of course, we're all biased. I'm super biased about so many things. But I try to remind myself of that every single day, and I try to discuss it with people. Sometimes, so for example, there's going to be countless times during the week when I'm going to disagree on certain things with my colleagues, my friends, my wife. But then I'm going to say, hey, let me just go home and I need to think about it, right? Because the biggest problem with these types of discussions is that people feel instant need to resolve, right? Like you need an instant closure. Some of these things we've discussed are incredibly complex, and it's silly to expect one another or oneself to talk about these things and instantly derive some sort of conclusion, right? Because in most of these discussions, conclusions are multiple, right? And this is unfortunately where these ideologies and biases come, right? If you ask a person from Russia, for example, about this, they're gonna have their own perception. If you ask a person from the U.S., so I think this is the problem often, is that you can't discuss these things and instantly come to a conclusion or expect someone. So sometimes it's just fine to throw a few of these ideas around. As my PM at work, Stain, says, Alex, I'm just going to plant an idea in your head. Please don't come up with a solution now. Just think about it. And he's been doing this now for 4 years at work. It's incredible. He's like, Alex, let's go have a workshop. I just want to tell you what we're planning to do. And then, man, 2 days later, my brain indirectly, implicitly, passively, subconsciously just thought some of the things through, and it's like, now I understand what we want and stuff. So it's the same with thinking about these subjects, man. I think that the reason why an average human is having a hard time with them is because it really takes time. Like if you want to understand all of these geopolitics, economics, sanctions here, sanctions there, you would need to spend huge portion of your time every single week just reading and discovering and thinking and stuff. And an average human just doesn't have the time for that. Average human turns on their favorite channel, whatever channel confirms they bias more. They get their needle of confirmation bias and they move on. Okay, let me turn on the station that's gonna say what I want to hear. Check. I'm happy. Go to work, sleep, come tomorrow, do the same thing. And this is why the world is in such a massive conflict, is because nobody's listening to anyone, right? These guys are saying we are right, these guys are saying we are right, but nobody listens, right? That's like having a broken marriage or relationship. You have two people talking at the same time, right? So get rid of your ideology, man, whatever it is. And then you can start thinking better. Let me just actually see one of the bugs. Because, yeah, why the hell? Okay, but I don't think this is related to accordion. I think this is related to something else. Yeah. All right, I'll fix that in another project. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else to do here. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do now, I'm going to release a new version of this, just so we can install it in the main project. Let me just review the code, especially now with the AI. Actually, I don't know if we used AI for this, but either way, it's more important than ever to review it with all of this garbage being generated. Is external link? Sure. Yeah, that's correct. That's the test that we've updated, correct. That's the prop we extended, correct. Yeah, that is the type we extended. That's the enum we extended, sure. I see. What else here? Yeah, ooh, yeah, this has changed a lot, so I'll need to... Then we can get rid of this thing. I'm looking for an apprenticeship in France, and I'm having a hard time to find one. Do you have any advice for a junior? Probably the best thing you can do is join workshops. Meetups, right? I was to Paris a couple of years ago on nodejs conference, and this is also the feature I'm building here in Programmer Network for the exact same reason. I don't know what city you live in, but let's imagine you lived in Paris and you want let me tell, and I'm gonna elaborate why am I suggesting this, of course. So how do these meetups work, just so you can understand? So whenever you organize a meetup, let me make a step back. How do I know how they work? Because I used to organize one of the most popular JavaScript meetups here in Copenhagen before Corona. It was called Advanced JavaScript Meetup. And that's how I learned how they work. So how do they work? You start a meetup, you reach out to companies, they provide food, drinks, and free space for you to host your meetup. Why do they do that? 2 reasons. Brand awareness that they share, so you get to learn about them, and they have their recruiters in there, right? So in a lot of these meetups, when you go there, typically there's at least one recruiter that tries to remove the friction between himself, the job itself, and the person that they meet. So meeting developers at meetups is one of the cheapest ways for companies to hire, because you can instantly get a feeling for a person versus reading some random CV from a random person somewhere, right? So if you have access to some programming meetups in your area, do that. Just go and network, build a network, right? If you don't, go to LinkedIn and be active on LinkedIn. This is the only useful platform that exists. It's unfortunately also becoming garbage, but it's still the only useful platform that exists. So if you're using Twitter, absolute garbage. You're wasting your time massively. So build a solid network here. Make sure you have all of your experience and jobs and all of that stuff here. Actually, you're just junior, it doesn't matter. And then start interfacing with people, companies, comment on a couple of things, etc., etc. That's the only thing that I can think about now. My pleasure, man. Just keep in mind, if you're young especially, there's nothing more valuable in life than networking, right? When you know people, when you leave a good impression, then it's just... what did I start doing? I just forgot. Oh yeah, sorry, I got... All right. Then the stories, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right, let's push this to master, and then let's create a new tag. Sure. Matog, I mean, how is it progressing, man? I mean, as I always said, right? I mean, I do this genuinely because, as you probably remember, it's progressing, man. It is being built, right? I mean, I spend, this is not something I do every day. Sometimes there's 1 or 2 months when I'm not going to do anything. Then there's going to be weeks when I'm going to do so much, right? Then I'm not gonna stream for 3 months, 4 months, then I'm gonna stream like now again, right? So but no matter what, I do it whenever I can. whenever I have the time from all other obligations in life, I do it, right? So I would say, I mean, it's going. I mean, I wish that I had more time and more like to work on it, of course. But instead of not doing it and just saying, oh, sometimes in my life, oh, if I only had the time to do it, I would have done it. I just do it when I can, right? So this is probably the only model for most people that works. So you're gonna watch YouTube videos. They're gonna tell you about, yeah, thank you, man. Likewise. So it's definitely going, man. I mean, we have, people are signing up. Actually, this stream, I don't think anybody has signed up, but we have more than, I think, 2,500 people. So it's just, you know, again, if I had the time to build this platform, I would. But again, as I said many times, I'll build this for many years to come as my side thing. And who knows, maybe one day when there's sufficient amount of signups and people and I finalize some of these features and we build some new features, maybe it's going to turn into something, because that is always the thing with community-driven platforms. You can build all the features in the world, they can look amazing, feel amazing, whatever, but it's a classical lean startup chicken and egg problem, right? So who knows? But yeah, it's definitely happening, yeah. And at the very least, you know, as I always say, I already succeeded with this thing, built a nice stream that a lot of people like, a lot of people come back, like yourself, built a nice community, right? So I have zero regrets. Even if I shut down the project tomorrow, I would be super happy still, because there's so many positives that came out of it. Do you have plan for monetization? No, not yet. So I don't have any plans for monetization because it's not necessary. I could fund this project myself for a very long time, because first, it is built in an awesome way. As you might know, I have built the whole infrastructure on Hetzner, so I'm paying for VPS, so there's no third-party services, I'm not paying for authorization, so everything is built by me for the exact sake of COGS, cost of goods sold, as I said. Which means that even if the platform would become something one day, I wouldn't necessarily need to monetize it. I would probably introduce something like Twitter did, like for those people who like me and like this platform and they like the idea, subscribe for $5 a month or whatever. I know that there would be a bunch of people who wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't give a shit about $5 a month, right? So, but as always, if we can make it useful one day, then if you can build something that's useful, you will make money, right? So that is my philosophy about it. I cannot think about monetization when right now I wouldn't pay for it myself, right? Because I would literally not pay because there's nothing to pay for, right? So again, chicken and egg problem, right? But no matter what, even if in theory one day it would become something, it has to be 100% transparent. Because the main reason why I'm not part of any platforms, and I've never been, except Facebook maybe 15 years ago, is that value-wise, they simply don't provide anything that I want, right? So if we get there, it's gonna be like, yeah, you pay $4 a month and that's it. So Mattog, like, I think, to be very frank with you, man, I don't think that there's almost any idea that anyone could write here in chat right now about program network platform that I haven't already written in a card on GitHub projects, right? So I 100% agree with you. I also have that written down. It's just like there's so many things you can do, right? And fundamentally, what I'm trying to do now in a very limited time that I have is try to stabilize the existing features, finalize them, and use them myself. So for example, the reason why I want to finish meetups now is because I'm going to continue organizing an actual physical meetup in Copenhagen again, the JavaScript meetup. Then I'm going to stream it live when I do it in physical space. And then I want to try to use meetups feature here to try to get people to, at the very least, sign up, so they sign up for the meetup, right? Same goes with the courses. I mean, all of this has been released long ago, but it's incomplete because, again, everything has been built in a live stream. And look at how these live streams are. I code a bit, then I talk, then I'm distracted again, right? So you just don't have that level of focus even remotely as you would, you know, if you worked on it full time, right? Whatever. Give me just 2 seconds. Alrighty. Actually, you know what, fellas? Unfortunately, it's almost 11. I want to go and see if actually, I think my wife went to bed. I think I'm gonna go and maybe do something else. Just chill out a bit. Need to go to work tomorrow like the rest of you. And then need to go to the gym. Haven't gone today, went yesterday. Yeah, thank you very much. What can I say? It's been fun. Thank you for staying for these weird but interesting subjects. I hope that I've at least triggered some of you to think in some certain way, at least in the way that you haven't before. Maybe that's going to yield something. Maybe you're going to be even more convinced of your own beliefs. Who knows? But either way, likewise, Free Space, Cassie, and everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you really very much coming, especially you guys who've been coming back for such a long time. It's so nice to have a community of awesome people. Anyway, I'll catch you guys up another time. All right. Have a good night, everybody.